right, good evening. It's 6:30 and it's July 31st, Thursday. Welcome to our Draper City Planning Commission working meeting. So there's an agenda in the back, and I've been told there have not been any changes to that agenda, so we'll move forward with the meeting as proposed and posted online and on paper. So you're welcome to check that out if you don't have one already. So let's go ahead and get started. But first off, we want to thank the staff for getting everything ready. We meet every 2 weeks, and so we know there's a lot of work getting done in the 2 weeks that we don't see you. So thanks so much for putting your notices up, getting the reports to us so that we can review those prior to the meeting. Thank you to the commissioners up here volunteering their time, and then thank you to our neighbors and friends that are out here as applicants and attending. So we appreciate you guys spending some time here concerned with what's going on in Draper, making sure this all turns out right. So let's go ahead and get started with our agenda tonight. The first item on our list is a public hearing. It's the Indigo Tech Center zoning map amendment request. It's on the request of Jeremy Piston, representing Mashie's Golf Lounge, LLC, a zoning map amendment from the CO2, which is professional office zone, to the CR, which is regional commercial zone, for approximately 2.84 acres. This is all located at approximately 14198 South Minuteman Drive. It's known as application 2025-0131. -MA, and Paul Geilman is our staff contact. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you. We would like to say that the name is Jeremy Pixton. There was a typo, so it's Pixton,
perfect.
not Piston. So
they both sound cool, so we'll go with Pixton then. Thank you.
So we have the Tech Center zoning amendment. Here's our vicinity maps. We are located just south of Boondocks, east of Minuteman, and north of South Fork Drive. There's a closer view, so we can see Boondocks right above Minuteman and South Fork there. The land use is regional commercial, so the land use is congruent with the proposed zone change, so no land use amendment is needed. The zoning map, the zone that it currently is CO2, surrounding zone is CR. That is the proposed zone that is being presented for recommendation tonight. Overview of the request. There are some new additional uses that are allowed either as permitted uses or conditional uses in the zone. So we have a partial list there of some of the uses that are available with the additional CR. The use that the applicant has indicated is the one that they're specifically looking for is the recreation and entertainment indoor use for one of their business opportunities that they'd like to have. There are a couple of the site photos. And if there are any questions or comments, I can answer them. We do also have the applicant here, and he can answer any questions.
Great. Do we have any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
And I mentioned this to a couple of the staff before the meeting. So on the agenda, it says 14198 South Minuteman Drive. That address does not exist. There's a 14193, 97, and 14203 south, the buildings. Does that matter?
Where did you find that, Susan?
So I drove down there today, and I also checked the county records, assessor's records for the addresses.
Okay.
And the 14198 is not on any of the buildings. The buildings are 14193, 97, and 14203.
Maybe we'll ask the applicant too, just to double check that, and then
Okay.
I think just for the record, we would want to get the address
I think
corrected.
Jen was checking it.
Our understanding of that is so that's the property address. It might
Yep.
not be one of the numbers on the buildings, but it is the property address.
Okay, as long as it's all legal and once we assign it to
Because
it.
I checked the property addresses too on the parcel map, county parcel map. Is that what you're talking about? I just want to make sure we're okay to proceed.
It's
Sorry.
approximately that address.
True.
So it is the correct address as far as what we have. But, yeah, we can look at that. There may have been a slight number off somewhere, but, yeah, that's where it puts it.
But we're still okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll reconcile that if needed, but thanks for bringing that up, Susan. All right, any other questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant here? Hi. You want to come on down, state your name, and we may have some questions for you, or you can add anything else to the presentation that you'd like to.
Jeremy Pixton. I don't really Do I have anything else to add? Not
Yeah,
really.
is there anything else you want to add? Or
No, I didn't hear what you were saying with the addresses, but there's 14183, 14193, and 14203. So there's 3 buildings in the complex.
Right, that's what Susan was pointing out because she drove by and
Yeah.
realized that 14198, as on our report, was not in there. So we'll let the staff kind of sort that all out. That's the key word there is approximately, correct? So we've got approximate on there, so it won't hurt your application or your.
Okay.
But it's good to point out, Susan, because we want to make sure we're proving the right properties here. So thank you. Thanks to both sides there. Yeah, any questions on what he's trying to do here? Okay, great. We just want to give you your time to shine. Thanks for coming down, doing it the right way. And we got your name right, Pixton, so thank you. All right, so this is a public hearing. What that means is we'll open this up for public comment. We'll have a couple of these tonight, but I'll explain this once so we don't have to do it every time. We've got a nice little timer over there with 3 minutes in red. If you'd like to come up and address this agenda item or any other agenda item later as they come up, we'll give you a full 3 minutes. You don't have to take the full time. We just ask you don't go over. And if you do come up, just state your name. This is all going on a recording so that we can write this all down and put it in the books. So is there anyone now that would like to come address this agenda item tonight? Okay, we'll go ahead and then close that public hearing for this one. There'll be more, so you'll get your turn if you'd like that. So, commissioners, what are your thoughts on this? Pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward to me. Whenever we have a property that's enclosed by similar properties with the same zone that they're asking for, and the variation in zone isn't very different, I don't know, and we don't have anyone here speaking against it. I think we can probably proceed.
Perfect. Well, let's put a motion on the books and vote on it.
All right. I'm happy to do that, yeah. I move that we forward a positive recommendation to the City Council for the zoning map amendment as requested by Jeremy Pixton, representing Mash's Golf Lounge LLC, application 2025-0131-MA, based on the following findings and the criteria for approval listed in the staff report dated July 17th, 2025. And there are 5 findings for approval that can go along with that are in our report.
Great. Thanks, Mary. Who would like to second her motion?
I'll second that.
All right, thanks, Kendra. Let's go ahead and put it to a vote. So, Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kendra?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Congrats on that, and then good luck with the City Council. So thanks for coming in tonight. All right, our next public hearing is the Jiffy Lube conditional use permit request. This is on the request of Robert Portier.
So, Andrew,
Yes?
it looks like we might not be ready for that one right now.
Okay, let's make a,
Could we
let's
possibly
switch
move
some
that,
things around.
Switch it around.
Do we need to vote on that, or can I just executively?
You can call an audible.
Okay, I'm just going to sweep. Do I need to use the gavel for that then?
No.
Please
well,
say yes.
If you want to bang the gavel, by all means.
I
go ahead
don't want to.
and bang the gavel and
we'll save it
fulfill
for
all
the
your
end.
childhood dreams.
We'll save it for the end. All right. Well, let's go ahead and then move this this one that's labeled 1B as in Bravo, the Jiffy Lube conditional use permit. Let's bump that one to the very end and replace it with item 1D as in Delta. Okay. So let's move on to our next public hearing. This is the Fullis Transport LLC home occupation conditional use permit request. It's on the request of George Fullis, representing Fullis Transport LLC, a home occupation conditional use permit regarding the operation of a home office that provides trucking services for approximately 0.74 acres located at 11747 South, 300 East. This is known as application 2024-0349-USE, and Nick Whitaker's our staff contact on this. So go ahead, Nick.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is the home occupation conditional use permit for Fullis Transport LLC. Here's the vicinity map. And here's the aerial map of the property right here at the intersection of Kimball's Lane and 300 East. It's kind of a unique shape. Looks like a flag. The proposed use will, or the proposed business will utilize this flagpole part here, and I'll get into those details in a minute. Here's the land use map. The land use is residential medium density. And the zoning map, it's RA1. Here's the site plan that the applicant provided. I added a zoomed-in snip of the plan here. So the applicant is hoping to operate a trucking business from his home. The administrative side of the business is to be operated in the basement of the home, in a room in the basement, and then also as part of the request is to use this part of the front yard, that flagpole part of the lot, to store 4 trailers and 1 vehicle. Here is the basement area that is utilized for the actual home occupation. Here are some site photos to help explain this. So here is the front yard storage area where the applicant is hoping to store 4 trailers and 1 vehicle to pull the trailers. Here is a picture of the existing front yard fence that goes along here to provide screening. Now, I need to point out that this fence is not compliant with Draper City Code, and as a condition of approval, we would like to add in that the applicant go through the proper application process to bring this into compliance.
Which would be what? Material, height? What would make that compliant?
The height, well, it's hard to say now because there's no permit to go off of to understand what the height is. If it's greater than 6 feet, then no matter where it is in the property, you'd need a conditional use permit. But this is in the front yard, and in the front yard, you can't have a fence that's higher than 4 feet.
So it either have to be set back more or reduced in height to meet code.
Or is that part of the conditional use permit that we're allowing him to have that fence in the front yard?
Exactly.
As it exists now?
That is up to the applicant, but he would need to work with staff to determine what the code would allow.
Okay.
So this time we don't know. We don't know the specs of this fence to even.
Okay, but it's just because, sorry to interrupt, but it's just because it's in the front yard is why it's not compliant. Got it.
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the site plan, the applicant points out 2 areas where the trucks tow the trailers into the front yard area, the designated front yard area that he desires to use for his business. One of them is on the south side, and they enter here off of Kimball's Lane. This entrance here appears to be used to access this utility box. There's a second driveway would be required to be at least 40 feet from the intersection there. Here's the north side. This is another area where the vehicles are pulled into the desired parking area. This is right off of the driveway of the existing home. They pull through here. For the impact analysis and mitigation, the identified potential impacts of this would be large trailers and vehicles entering and exiting the property, impacting pedestrian safety. Vehicles and trailers stored on the unpaved front yard parking area, stirring up dust and spreading gravel on the roads and sidewalks, causing unstable and potentially hazardous surfaces to pedestrians and vehicles. Pedestrian blind spots caused by the illegal front yard fencing. Business vehicles and trailers parked on the street. Noticeable storing of vehicles, inventory, and supplies in the front yard areas. Noticeable storing of freight, cargo, and shipments. Noticeably modified yard area. Size and scale of the utilized front yard area, detracting from the residential use. Nuisance from vehicle emissions, dust from the graveled surface, and generating noise when hitching and unhitching trailers. Staff finds that the way to, potential ways to mitigate these impacts would be to require that that all requirements of the Draper City Engineering, Public Works, Building, Planning, and Fire divisions are satisfied, that the Draper City business license shall be obtained and maintained by the applicant, that no more than 4 work trailers and 1 work truck being utilized for the home-based business shall be parked at the property, that the 4 work trailers and 1 work truck shall not be parked in the street, that only 1 work truck shall be parked in a designated stall per an approved site plan, that the drive approach facing Kimball's Lane shall not be used for vehicular access by the property owner, that the applicant shall obtain a conditional use permit to bring all the illegal, or to bring, to bring the illegal fencing located in the front yard into compliance, that no business deliveries shall be received at the property, that no business deliveries shall be shipped from the property, that no business deliveries shall be stored at the property, that the parking area shall be paved with cement or asphalt, that the size of the parking area shall not exceed 5,000 square feet, and that the days of the week in which the home-based business may operate shall be limited to Monday through Saturday, that the hours of operation shall be limited to 8 a.m. through 6 p.m., and that no customer shall come to the home. Here is a photo of the exterior of the primary structure, the residence. The fenced area is just here to the right, which is the south side of the home. Any questions or comments?
I think we'll have a couple for the applicant. Any for staff?
I have one for staff, and maybe Spencer can help with this. So one of the mitigations that we often put in place, or is that, or maybe it's part of the code, is the screening requirement. And I can appreciate that that's the purpose of this fence, but how could we require a screen that would essentially violate city code? That doesn't seem like something we could even do.
That is an astute observation. With a conditional use permit, we're required as the Planning Commission to look at, especially with a home occupation conditional use permit, we're required to look at the residential character of the neighborhood and see if the proposed business has detrimental effects on the residential character of the neighborhood. And then if conditions can be imposed to mitigate those detrimental effects, you can impose those conditions. But those conditions definitely cannot be unlawful, including those that violate our own city ordinances.
Thank you.
Sure.
May I also
What
note,
I was after.
Sorry, may I also note, and I apologize, I forgot to mention this in the presentation, but there is a history of land use violations at this property.
I have a question. So if,
Such as, hold on one second, Susan, such as what kind of violations?
I cannot speak to that. Code enforcement is not
Hang on, let
here.
me jump in here, Nick. I don't think that necessarily it's appropriate for the Planning Commission to consider previous violations in making their decisions. So I'd advise the Planning Commission to dismiss that comment. It doesn't seem relevant to whether they can impose conditions or
Thank
not.
you. Okay, go ahead, Susan.
okay, so I had a question. If they had a fence that met city code, I'm assuming it's got to be set back 20 to 25 feet to meet the front face of the house. That would probably, in essence, make this area so narrow that it would probably be impossible.
I doubt we'd be, yeah,
Yeah,
they'd be able to use that for the intended purpose.
Right.
Because, well, and it has to do with the line of the house, right? Where the house lies on the property, and it has to be behind that line.
The front of the house, yeah.
So that would take out that whole area. Yeah.
So what basically would have, in essence, I'm going to use the word variance, give a variance for the fence.
But Spencer's saying we
Yeah,
can't do
right.
that.
Well, right, okay.
And I don't think the city can do that. We can't say it's okay for you to break this law. and give.
I guess we have to decide that.
So that's not something that you have the authority to do.
Darn it.
Mike,
I could think
So,
of
so
some
where are
useful
we at then? How, if we're asking us to say, let's make a decision on this, how do we get this far?
this isn't a legal question.
Well, when applications come in, we have to hear them. And I think that's the answer. We are hearing an application that's
All right.
here. And if we find that we can't mitigate the proposed use, then it's not an appropriate conditional use permit.
Okay, let's invite the applicant up. Come on down. If you just state your name and then just tell us what you had in mind for a viable business here.
Thank you, George Follis.
Hi.
Hi there. So a little background is I moved in 02. At that point, there was no landscaping at all. The road had just been put in, I don't know, a year or two prior to that. The sidewalk all along that 356 feet, which is that proposed little part, was up about 18 inches straight off. And so right away, I called the code enforcement guy at the time and said, hey, can I bring in fill dirt and whatever and have this leveled up so it's not a safety hazard? He's like, yeah, that'd be great. So we did that, and then when talking to him, I'm like, hey, like, at the time, I had personal trailers and RV and stuff, and I'm like, when I bought this, I thought I could that's not the front yard, it's the side yard, and that's how everybody views it when they look at the plot, They're like, that's not. And people come to my house, they're like, that's part of yours? I'm like, yeah.
No, I've driven by there a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised to see this now and how that lot lays
Yeah.
out. That explains a lot.
And so I said, so technically, according to the code, I can't park anything because it's basically, I have 2 or 3 feet of that sliver that I could use, which makes it impossible. So he goes, yeah, I see that. So I arranged a meeting to come in and talk to the planning department at the time at the old city hall down the street. And just met with them in person, didn't have any formal thing like this, just met a meeting. We went over everything. They're like, yeah, that's not front, that's your side yard. And as a side yard, you can put up a 6-foot fence. So he said, put up the fence, the screening thing. He said, if you put up the fence, we're not gonna bug you. Well, what happened is, me not even thinking about everything, a friend of mine said, hey, can I sell a semi-trailer on there? And it was like a 20-foot. It wasn't a big one. I'm like, yeah. So we put it on there for sale. It sold. The code enforcement mentioned the new one, mentioned it to me, and I'm like, I had no idea that I couldn't do that, so I won't do it anymore. And then I had the trailer that's in that picture there. There were some other trailers that I was letting a friend store, and when he told me these things, I got all that cleared out. But so they said, put up the fence, and you can use it. I've never had a problem. This has been over 2 decades. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting hit and hit and hit. And so, I got violations for parking. And so that's the previous. I got a violation for, what was it? Didn't have a business license, but I didn't even know because at the time I was on the road most of the time. So I'm like doing my work in hotels, and when I come home, I do it wherever and then take off. So I didn't even think like I needed a business license. So I mentioned that to him. So then he wrote me a ticket for not having a business license. I paid over $800 in fines just to be here. And it's just been a really frustrating thing for me just because I can't use that piece of land unless we have some sort of exception here because it is a very, very odd. It doesn't follow the same standards as every other lot probably in Draper. That is probably the most odd lot I know of I've ever seen, witnessed, and I happen to own it, which isn't a benefit. So,
Can I ask you a couple quick questions?
Yes,
So
of
I'm looking
course.
at the triangle there to the east.
Yeah.
It looks like there's some Connex trailers or some other stuff over there. Is that all just your personal storage stuff? And then this, could you run the business out of the back of that? Just in theory.
I can't access the back with that 40. It's a 40-foot gooseneck, so it's over 50 feet long. I can't access the back with that trailer. I can't even get it into that driveway to access that. So
if can we go back to the picture of the proposed parking area and what will be parked there? am I safe to assume that the blue area is
Yeah.
what's fenced in
Yes.
now? Or would you have to extend out
No.
fence to,
No.
that blue area is a fenced-in
That
area?
is what is fenced. That's
So
what
let me
I've been
see here. So you've
using.
got the 40-foot gooseneck. What is that, like a semi?
No, it's a pickup truck, but it's a
Okay.
gooseneck. So I have that pickup truck that was pictured, and then the gooseneck that's behind it. You can see some of the materials on top that I use when I haul.
Okay.
So that's all it is a pickup truck and a trailer, and then a dump trailer that I use, periodically, the vehicle, and a couple small utility trailers that I use periodically. So, the access, like I really, at the very most, probably drive in and out of there once a week. Never cause dust. When I put that up, the gravel, and improved it so that it wouldn't be dusty, because it was dirt before, and that did create dust, and also mud a lot of times a year, So I graveled it, I improved everything. I mean, I spent over $8,000 improving that piece of land so I could use it. And based on the old conversations, I thought it was grandfathered in. But then talking to the city guys and everything that's not, nobody knew about it. I'm like, okay, so that's why I'm here. I never intended to not comply. That was never my intent. I've always tried to comply. When I first moved in, the weeds would kind of get out of control because it was all dirt and everything, and I would have to keep mowing. I even bought a goat when I had kids to help get it down and stuff. So, I've always kept it maintained,
Yeah.
and then since it's been gravel, I've sprayed 3 times this year just keeping the weeds down.
So I guess here's what I'm saying is if we've got this workaround that this is his front yard, but he's trying to run a business, what if you just took all your business stuff besides that gooseneck? It's basically a fifth wheel, right? You can haul that around with a fifth wheel.
Yeah,
Is that what
yeah.
that, like a dually or, okay.
Yeah.
So just take those 1, 2, 3, the 2 utilities, the dump trailer, the work vehicle, move it in the back, and then park your, for personal enjoyment, gooseneck trailer in the front yard and pull the fence down. I mean, I'm being a little
that's-
ridiculous here because
Well,
I'm
yeah.
saying that would now make you compliant.
Right, yeah, and I get that, and
Well, with some things,
yeah,
not with the
Well,
screening.
I mean, can you park a trailer in your front yard?
yeah. See, that's the thing is you can't.
Is there, I mean, this isn't an HOA issue. Can you park your trailer in your front yard?
I do believe we require trailers to be parked in behind the front wall plane of the house.
What is it? I mean, we
I
know
can
that
look
for
that up.
certain. Yeah, I mean, I know HOAs are real strict about that, but if it's city code, I'd love to see that just to see what this guy can do with his front yard. We know he can't have a fence in it.
Question, though, about if it's a work vehicle and it's under a conditional use, aren't we supposed to require some screening for that?
That can be a mitigating factor,
Right.
providing screening. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a fence, but
Right.
however
But
the
tearing down the fence and leaving it wide open
that definitely-
probably wouldn't meet that standard,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I guess.
Yeah. You can also screen with landscaping. So there's other options available.
Yeah.
Oh, a
Yep.
to the
hedgerow.
planning.
Oh, our favorite.
Just kidding. Don't do a hedgerow.
exactly.
They never work.
Well, so I mean,
They never work.
another topic is the entrance, that driveway on Kimball's side. If you can pull that up, please. That's been there since the road was installed. Draper approved it. Whoever they contracted to put the road in.
You mean the curb cut out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's been my access to that side of my property all along. Those utility things were put in after I moved in. I sold that to the utility people. So it wasn't put there for the utility, it was put for access
Right.
to my lot.
Does that make sense, staff, that that's actually an access cutout for his property? Because no other reason for that to be there.
We're
My-
not certain that it is a legal access to the property itself. It may have just been put in for access to the utilities.
He's telling you it's not. The curb cut was there
Utilities
before they
aren't
put
there
utilities.
until,
having an access that close to the intersection would not be permitted. It requires at least 40 feet.
but it was approved.
And it was already there.
It's already
Like I said,
there.
there's a lot of wacky stuff back in '02
Yeah.
in Draper before, some of us were born and even lived here. So, I mean, that's a long time. I've lived here since '06, and a lot has
Well, and
gotten
I think that
a
road
lot
was
better.
Put in 97, 98-ish, so
Yeah.
it's been there a long time.
Yeah,
Way before the
So-
utilities, before even the Cranberry Hill was put in, that road
right.
was put in.
Before the subdivision
Yeah.
was there.
So I'll add,
so we don't know when the curb cut was put in. Despite that, specific concept, that there is concern with having these large vehicles exit right there, right next to the intersection, right next to the crosswalk.
Yeah, it
From
would
a
be one of the
safety hazard.
conditions. I'm not arguing that needs to come off the condition list. I'm just saying, look, he's got this piece of land. He's got I don't understand what makes a 40-foot gooseneck trailer a work vehicle. That looked like a recreational trailer. Is that right?
Well, it's the same as a personal trailer. It's just I use it commercially.
How?
It's not, I hot shot trucking. So I use a pickup truck and that long trailer. It's anything you could buy for personal use, to haul vehicles or whatever,
Okay.
equipment. It's the same thing. It's just,
Okay.
it's commercial because I'm operating a commercial business.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's kind of an impasse. What do you do with a front yard that can't allow for screening? And I mean, you're saying just a landscape in front of it, and then that's fair?
I believe that's up to the applicant to figure out what would be best, and then provide that to staff for our review.
Okay.
What's the possibility? Because the reason that it was agreed upon prior, like way back when, is because of the odd shape, and it's not like anything else.
Yeah.
And when people look at it, since it's 40 feet from maybe even 50 feet from my home, where that property is, it's not a front yard. And I think that's the main thing we're having an issue with here is, like, I've never treated that as a front yard. It never has appeared as a front yard. It's just in front of my house, a sliver, right?
Yeah.
My front yard is my property. When you show my home, that's my front yard.
Well, here's what I might suggest, and if this doesn't mess everything up, but I would get with staff and, I mean, kind of pause this, get with staff and go over the options that you have.
Okay.
Because I don't know if even subdividing the thing, separating this off, not putting a home occupation, I don't know. I mean, the highest and best use of this property is for your neighbor there to the
Yeah.
southeast to buy it.
Right. Yeah.
And then let him
Well,
have a
and
bigger
I
side yard, and
tried-
then he can have access through whatever.
I've even talked to him about, like, gifting and gifting, like,
Yeah.
even double value, like, because that piece is not
Yeah.
that usable. So I'm like, it'd be usable for them.
Yeah, and that's
but
not on
give
the
me a little
ticket
bit
tonight.
more.
It's just
But,
to try to figure
I've
out
talked to them.
how you can do
I've
it.
tried different solutions is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. Is
So let's do this, though. Since it is a public hearing, we can hold the public hearing for those that have come tonight if they want to address this item, and then leave it open. How's that? Is that fair? If Jennifer, walk me through this. If we want to just say the applicant still needs to talk with you, do we forego the public hearing, or do we let that be held, leave it open, not close it for when he comes back and closes up this application?
That would be up to you on
That's
if you
the way
want
I'd like to do
hold the
that.
hearing and either keep it open or close.
Yeah, if it's up to us, I'd like to do that.
Can I interject for a second?
Go ahead.
Whether the applicant chooses to continue this is up to the applicant.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
As the
Spencer,
planning
yeah.
commission, the code says that you shall approve with conditions, or deny. So if we hold the public hearing tonight, then you've got to make a decision of one of those three things. And then if the answer is deny, then the applicant has to apply all over again and
So
start.
you're saying once I go into public hearing, then we have to vote on it?
Yep.
Okay, because we've done that in the past where we've left the public hearing open multi-week. We just haven't closed it.
I've studied up on our code about what our conditional use permits say for this meeting alone.
Okay,
I think I
That's
would
what
ask.
you've got. I was hoping that you could punt.
okay.
I don't think you can.
Can I ask staff if they think extra time will be productive? Because it seems pretty clear to me that staff has put a lot of time into this, and if that were to happen, I'd want to make sure there would be some outcome that would be different than tonight.
To answer that, I mean, I will point out that this application staff has been working on this application for almost a year. In terms of changing changing the design, or changing how the applicant intends to operate the business from the property, would be up to the applicant, I suppose. But as in terms of what we have now, this has been put together over the course of almost a year.
So with that, I noticed that with the application numbers of 2024. So what's the solution? If you guys have been working on this for a year, what's his solution?
I think we have to take action per legal.
We have to vote on
I
it
think
if
we have
it,
to take action on it.
unless the applicant wants
Unless
to
he
wait.
wants to
But
wait.
I just don't know if I see the point in doing that. I mean, he's free to pull it at any time, but I don't know that I see the point in advocating for that if staff is telling us they've been working on this for a long time. I think he's in a position where he has a weird-shaped lot, and our city code says certain things about what the front yard is, about how high the fence can be, and about how we have to mitigate potential uses. And I can tell you don't like it, but that's the
Well,
position
I don't like it
we're in.
because
Like,
here's a private property owner that came in here in 2002 and he was told something completely different, and then the code changes on him.
right.
Just like an old Pioneer where the code changes on him and nothing's been grandfathered in. So now he's got this front yard, side yard, lot. I mean, to me, if you're going to cut the baby in half up here with Solomon's sword, you're going to want to make this as pretty as possible at the owner's expense so that all the neighbors drive by and go, wow, this got better, not worse, and he gets to use his property. But that's not what we're doing. So it looks, I'm just saying it feels like he's just been put up here to say, well, good luck, there's no solution to this. And if you've been working on it a year, I get it. But what is the, I'm just trying to navigate so he doesn't paint himself into a corner.
I mean, there might not be a positive solution. I think that's where we're at. We need to make a decision about whether or not we think can be mitigated with what staff has put in the report, but it looks like,
And based on code.
yeah.
Can he subdivide it?
No,
Okay, I'm just asking.
The
It's just
property
that's a
would
no.
require a
Besides
1
all of
acre.
those questions, I have a couple other concerns that I don't think we've discussed, so maybe we ought to discuss a couple because we kind of keep going back and forth on that.
Yeah, keep going.
I'm concerned, the area he's requesting for the home occupation is 5,000 square feet. That's huge. I mean, and typically we're looking at 300, 500 square feet. To me, that's a concern, just the magnitude of the area.
You mean inside the home?
No,
What
this
You're
area.
talking the 5,000 square.
5,000
Yeah.
for parking these vehicles.
Okay.
Per the staff report.
So-
Do you live in the home?
Yeah.
And then are there any other employees? Are there employees besides yourself?
No.
So-
Yeah. There's one vehicle, one trailer at a time, coming or going. And I don't go even 10 miles an hour. It's like 3 to 4 miles an hour when I'm driving. I don't fly down that little strip. Like it doesn't ever. I've never seen dust, ever. So
And then you bought the property as it currently exists, because I think it's been this way for a long time. That predates when you purchased it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I thought I was doing everything correctly at the beginning. I've never had an issue until last year. And then, the reason a lot of it's taken so long is I keep getting different stipulations. So I dress it and dress it and dress it. Oh, clarify this. Well, it didn't even, I put NA because it wasn't even, so then I had to clarify that. So it's just gone back and forth, and each time I submitted would take up to 4 to 6 months for a reply. This last time, the last 2 times when I resubmitted, I called a lot and I got it done much quicker, but it's still been 6 months to get this far. And that's with submitting, getting kickbacks. I mean, why are we here when we can't do anything and they've had a year to review this? And why is it now just coming up?
Well, it's not on our staff to come up with a plan
Well, I know,
for
but
you.
if
I think
it's not
that's
even
the
possible,
problem.
that should
Right.
have been told to me at the beginning and not
Well-
wasted any of our time.
Yeah.
And,
They can't stop anyone from submitting an application.
Okay.
So it's in
But,
front of us,
that's
and
fair,
we
but
can
I should
hear
have been
it.
told that this is you can do it, but this is this is the chances, right? I was actually told that it's a very odd lot and that they don't see a reason why it shouldn't be approved from them. They said that to me.
Well, I just have
so-
to cut you off there because ultimately they can give you their assessment.
Yeah.
but it comes in front of the planning
Right,
commission,
yeah, and I
we
get that.
ultimately
I get
have a
that.
decision.
And I'm
so.
not saying that trying to take any power away. I'm just saying that this is what I've been told, and this is what I'm basing it on, and why are we here now when it shouldn't even have been brought this far from the very beginning? I should have been told this is against code, this, like we can't do this. But
Are you
when
saying that nobody's indicated to you or shared with you information about what the fencing laws are in
Nope,
Draper City?
This was the first time. Today was the first time when I read the notes about the fence. That has never been mentioned one time.
Haven't you gotten a citation?
No.
How
Not
many
for the fence.
citations have you received, did you say? Yeah, I mean, you don't actually,
Well,
you don't even have to
received
answer
one-
that.
I
but
received one for the parking, multiple for the different offenses, and I received for no business license and something else that was to do with the business. I don't remember. But it was because I was like telling him, yeah, this is where I'm doing this. I never even realized I needed a business license for what I was doing because I was hardly ever home. And so I'm like, what? Okay, I'll do it. But then he gave me a citation for it. I'm like, okay. So I've paid over $800 in fines. I've paid over $8,000 improving the lot. And here we are saying it sounds like it's not even possible.
So just, yeah, I mean, Mary, if your comment there, I mean, it was like Spencer is an astute observation, right? Has anyone ever brought up that fence cannot be in the front yard, nor will it ever be in the front yard? Has anyone ever brought that up?
I've had conversations with Mr. Follis with the initial complaints about fencing. I informed him that I did research on fencing. So when that fence was put up in the early 2000s, our code did not allow it.
So the fencing was non-compliant when it
Right.
originally went up.
Correct.
But that
Is
was,
there, and just a second, can I ask a question of staff? Is there anything in the code, because that's one of the things that we keep hearing about is what was told in the past and what was okayed. Is there, in addition to the fencing, so thank you for that, Jennifer, but is there anything in the code that would have suggested that portion of property should have been treated or considered a side yard as opposed to frontage?
No, under our code, anything along the street front is considered a front yard.
And I would add that specific question, that specific issue is outside the scope of the Planning Commission's authority as granted by the City Council. So
I'm sorry,
that's
what issue?
as- whether the yard is a front yard or a side yard, that's not something that the Planning Commission can make a determination on.
Right, I'm just trying to understand the historical context of what we've dealt with, so.
I've never been cited for the fence, ever. If she mentioned it, this is the first time I recognize it because I did not hear anything about a fence ever in the past.
Yeah, it hits home when it comes in a meeting like this. I get it. So let's. So where do we go from here, commissioners? You know what I'm going to do? I'll let you rest your legs. I'll let you be seated for a minute. We'll figure out what we're going to do up here, so you don't have to pass out here on us with lock knee. Thank you. All right. So, commissioners, what do you want to do? Do you want to put this to a public hearing? Just run it through the ropes.
I
are
think is
required.
I think we're
Yep,
required
because he
to.
hasn't asked to. Okay, great. Let's do it.
But also, just as part of the public record, we did receive several emails from adjacent property owners, just so whoever knows. We did receive them today, and I think we've all reviewed them
Yeah.
as part of the public record.
Yep. Yeah, that's why, again, when I brought that up about even hesitating on the public hearing, I know we want to let everybody say their mind. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and open this up for a public hearing. Same rules as before. If you want to address this agenda item, you've got up to 3 minutes. So up on the red timer, who wants to address this agenda item? Come on down. It's like the price is right, no prizes, no money, no clapping.
I expected a prize.
Yeah, hi. If you'll just state your name, though.
Terry Summerdike.
Hi.
And I am one that probably sent in an email as well today, but I wanted to make sure that it was noted. I live very close to the property. I live on 379 East, 11800 South, and I'm here to respectfully urge you to deny this request. While I understand the request is being presented as a home office, this is not just an administrative operation. Follis Transportation is a business tied to logistics, trucking, and freight activities that are inherently incompatible with a quiet, family-orientated community. Our neighborhood is composed of high-value single-family homes that sit adjacent to the Catholic school campus. Kids walk past the property every day on their way to school and the nearby parks. Introducing a commercial used, especially one tied to trucking, raises serious safety concerns. It also disrupts the residential character of our families, who many of us have put major investments into our homes. They're high valued there. Even if no trucks are stored on site today, approving the site sets a dangerous precedent. It opens the door to other home-based commercial ventures, especially those not appropriate for the residential setting. The applicant could easily operate their business from a commercial or industrial zoned property designed for this type of activity. That is where this kind of business belongs, not in the middle of homes or school children. Please help us preserve the safety, peace, and character of our neighborhood, and respectfully ask that you deny this application. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Who's next?
Sorry, Robert Wheat. I live in this neighborhood and have lived in this neighborhood for over 10 years. I respectfully disagree with the previous comment and actually ask that this is something that is supported in my mind. As someone who lives in this neighborhood, I've noticed that that specific strip of land has actually been the best maintained part of that street, whereas in that picture to you, just the opposite left-hand side of the park strip has been some of the worst maintained pieces in the property. It's always weed-free. It's kept, out of dust, and is something that has always been utilized for vehicles well beyond the intersection that doesn't impact the sight lines or safety. If anything, if you were to think about that neighborhood in terms of safety, the trees and shrubbery and the natural hedge that you kind of recommend front yards to use on that Kimball Lane house is actually more detrimental to sightlines. And I understand the issue with fencing and the technical code saying that fence on 150 feet away from an intersection is quote unquote dangerous because it's in a front yard. But the reality is the fence that he has there helps block the trucks. I understand that you're not going to accept that because it's not within code, but the reality is that part is completely safe from any pedestrians versus the corner that's unsafe for pedestrians based on natural hedges that we allow to incur. So as a neighbor, I think George has been someone who is attentive to people's asks and listen to people that want to make it a useful area for him, and as just a private property owner, I have a real issue with us telling a private property owner what they can and can't use a basically unusable piece of property for. So for those reasons, I'm actually in favor of the applicant. I would be in favor of removing the fence, but I think the fence actually adds more benefit to it, and I don't see why we would ask them to remove a fence from making something less appealing to the neighborhood. But there you go.
Thank you. All right, anyone else?
Hi, my name is Mary Schumann. I also live in the neighborhood since 2005. I had a couple of questions and just a brief remark. I'm wondering if there's any specifics in the application as to the size of the trailers that he's proposing, because indeed he has held semi-sized trailers on that property that have been for sale and have stood there for several months. The home also appears to be functioning as a short-term rental property. I pass by there at least 3 times a week with my dogs, and there are always vehicles there with out-of-state plates when it seems to be rented. So I'm wondering, is it permissible for one residence to operate several different businesses? I don't know what the code is on that, but I'm just wondering. As to the area there, I can't think of a more inappropriate place for a trucking trailer property there for vehicles of that size to be entering and exiting that property. It is directly across the street from the Skaggs Catholic School Center and the church. There are dozens of children that walk through there every morning and every afternoon. You know, as property owners, we have invested in this neighborhood because it's a beautiful neighborhood and we love it, and we love the fact that it's residential, and there's not a more inappropriate place that I can think of for such a type of business to be storing unsightly commercial vehicles there, as well as the safety issue. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, who's next? Hi there.
I've been a neighbor since our house began construction in
We state your name.
1996. Hi, I'm Shelley Carver.
Hi.
So our home was completed in 1997, so we've lived there the whole time. I'll just kind of go through my notes. They're a little discombobulated, but anyway, it's an eyesore. I agree with the last neighbor that was up here that there's very large vehicles parked there on a frequent basis. Our subdivision is zoned residential, and conditionally permitted uses are I feel like they're contrary to what we're trying to do there. I feel if this is approved, it opens the floodgates to other things like this to happen, and maybe more people will be doing things like this with their properties, and in turn, I think it will affect our values. Contrary to what Mr. Fullis stated earlier, it's not the only flag lot in Draper. There are flag lots on Fort Street, as well as over and around 121st and 120th South. I would imagine, because I've been past those flag lots, residents that have flag lots are probably not running semi-truck, hotshot, trailer storage businesses. I also feel like Mr. Fullis had a period of due diligence prior to buying his property, whereas he knew that this was an irregular shaped lot, I would think. And so I think from the get-go he probably knew that. I think running a business of any sort out of a home or near schools and neighborhoods is not always a good idea for many reasons. Additional traffic could affect the area, especially for the emergency medical response times to the nearby hospital. And we're already dealing with traffic issues in our neighborhood. I have been a business owner, and I continue to be a business owner for many decades. Out of respect for my neighborhood and my neighbors, I have not been someone who has conducted business out of my home. For that reason, I also have had neighbors, whether permitted or not, have in the past run businesses out of their homes, and it has brought unnecessary traffic, parked vehicles all over the place, and questionable individuals into our neighborhood. Further, I've noticed it can reflect poorly on our neighborhood. I have a feeling that one or more persons probably actually called and reported what was going on here. There were parking semi-trailers and things like that, things for sale. Also, we had a homeless encampment there that was talked about amongst the neighborhood. In our Facebook group for the neighborhood, there have been many staunch supporters of Mr. Fullis arguing to leave him alone. I don't know Mr. Fullis. This is the first time I've met him. And they're saying, you know, leave him alone because he's a nice guy. I don't think tonight's for determining whether he's a nice guy. He really seems like it.
Thank
but
you.
I would ask that we, you know, respectfully deny this application for
Thanks.
the sake of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Hi there. If you just state your name.
Rex Myers. I also live in the neighborhood. I've been there since the beginning. Cranberry Hills. I've also dealt with Draper City in regards to different sized lots, and I think you guys are changing the game here in the middle of the whole structure here. He bought that place 20 years ago. That approach was there 25 years ago. Juan Diego uses that for their crossing people to park so they're not on the street. We're not hearing any complaints about that. Mr. Falls has been abused continually by Juan Diego people. They park in front of his place. He can't get in. He can't get out. They're even parking sometimes on the graveled area that is in discussion here. And there's never been a homeless camp there. I've been driven by there for years. There's never been a homeless camp there. I think Draper's abusing this whole situation. I think a fence all the way along there would be great because it would conceal everything. Then there wouldn't be any ingress, any egress. A bush along there is ridiculous for landscaping. If you want to turn it into commercial property, let's concrete and asphalt it. Oh, by the way, let's capture all the water, and maybe we could spend $100,000 or $200,000 improving this property that's going to look like trash. I think it looks great with the fence up. I like that. I wish you'd extend it further. And as far as ingress and egress goes, that's been grandfathered in a long time ago. Draper City built this lot. They approved it. He bought it. There's no special conditions with it. I agree with the applicant. I think Draper ought to leave him alone and let him use his property. Within certain respects, I think that's great. His vehicle that he's talking about is no different than half the people's triple axle, fifth wheel motorhome. It's the same. His pickup's the same. His trailer's the same. Just because he runs a transport business doesn't mean he's going to start bringing in business and goods and storing it there and everything else. He's already said he doesn't do that. So I think he's being abused. He's paid extra money for the taxes on that property for years and years and years. That fence Draper City told him to put up, and just because you change the name from front yard or side yard to front yard, I've never heard of a yard with 500 feet of front yard unless they've got multiple acres. So I'm a little irritated about this whole deal that he's having to fight them, paid fines and fees and everything for a city that's I think his property's maintained better than down along 3rd East where they let the grass die. And we can't get them to come in and fix what Google created a problem for. And we can't get them to come in to get and fix that. And yet, when certain people around the community do things like trim the trees along 3rd East, they're told, well, you trimmed them, you get rid of the trash. Because you guys aren't. So I agree with Mr. Follis. He's a good friend. He's a good neighbor. He's a good person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, anybody else? Hi. Remember to state your name.
Hi, my name is Tim Ma. I live just northeast of this property since 2002. I'm embarrassed that I don't know Mr. Follis, having been his neighbor for over 20 years. But I'm very familiar with this neighborhood, this property. My wife and I, we take nightly walks, and we walk past this property probably at least 3 or 4 times a week. I remember what it looked like before the fence went up. Just a lot of dirt, a lot of goat heads. I can't tell you how many bicycle tires I had to fix, not only for my kids but for other neighborhoods before that fence went up and before Mr. Follis made some improvements there. Just from what I've heard tonight, it sounds like some expectations were set for Mr. Follis when he purchased this property before maybe codes were clear or clarified, and things have changed on him. And I think he's trying to work in good faith to bring his current activity into compliance. And I don't think it detracts from the neighborhood. I think the fence actually helps, kind of hide, maybe some, the vehicles and maybe some unsightliness from just having dirt and gravel there. Like I said, I haven't seen any instance of nuisance or dangerous, driving or vehicles in that area. I would encourage the council to consider a path forward to allow him to continue this and bring him into compliance. It's a shame, I think, for a property owner not to be able to use a large portion of the property that he has purchased. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, last call. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Go ahead. Yep. Yeah, we'll invite you back up. Yeah, come on up. So, again, Spencer, I'm going to close the public hearing. No detriment in that, correct?
There's no detriment in closing the public hearing?
Yeah, I'm going to close the public hearing. All right.
Other than that, you've got to put it to a vote now.
Well, we had to even before I closed it, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I'll then therefore close the public hearing. All right, let's invite the applicant back up. If there's some questions or some things you want to add there, then we'll invite you to be seated again. We'll deliberate and then we'll vote.
Okay, great. So like a lot of the comments tonight have been positive, which, you know, I think is just a representation of what I've done. Like that, I've improved it continually since I've lived there. Every year or two at the most, I'd bring in more gravel, I'd level, I'd do different things to it to improve it, and I've never been one to not try to comply. Like from the very beginning, I came and got approval. It wasn't this process, but I got the approval. And so, and people have mentioned, it has always been this way. Like since I've been there, and since most of the people have lived there, it's continually improved. It's not gotten worse. It's definitely improved, and I'll continually improve it. Now the fence is, you know, almost or 20 years old. I definitely need to maintain it and stain it and do a few things, which I will do. That was on my agenda for this year before, you know, any of this came up. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go through and kind of update that fence and make it look good again. But, you know, so that's the whole thing. And if it's the main thing, I think that the issue is it's not a front yard, even though it's technically that, but it can't be used as a front yard. It's impossible. It's not in front of my house. It's not even close to the front of my house. It's definitely a side yard, and as a side yard, it can have a 6-foot fence. So I think that's part of the things is the terminology and how we're viewing it. That's not how it was viewed in the past, but that's how it's being viewed now, and that's why we're here and having the issues that we're having with code infractions and things. I've never been cited for the fence, ever. It's never even been mentioned to me. She said she did. I don't remember that. I'm going to stick by that. It's never been mentioned to me. This is the first time I've even heard of I'm in violation of that. And I have been cited for, I think, weeds once, parking once, business license once. So multiple, yes, but they were all, the weed was different time, and that's why I did the gravel the last time. That was like 3 or 4 years ago. I put the gravel in and got rid of the weeds. So never had a weed issue since. Never had a parking permit or parking citation issued to me the whole time, 22 years, 23 years I've lived there until this last year. So,
could I ask you some questions about your business?
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, we hear
it's not
trucking
like
business,
what
but
the people here that are, you know, resisting this and opposed to it is, it's not that. It's literally me driving my own personal truck that had to be registered commercially because I'm over the road, but it's a pickup truck and a 40-foot gooseneck trailer that's not a commercial trailer. It's a personal trailer. It doesn't look like a commercial trailer. And I said that I did have a
what do you do?
Transport.
Transport what?
Goods, whatever it is. A lot of equipment, just different things.
Using what? Your
The truck and trailer.
So
But I don't bring them in and out of my home. I leave my home empty and I come home empty.
So I think what's throwing us off, right, Mary, is that it
trailer,
looks like an RV.
You sleep in it. Is
but-
it
There's
a
one there now
bathroom?
that I'm getting ready to fix. I can't, it's easier to access it right there, so I parked it there to sell. I'm selling it. The other one,
That's what's throwing us off is we have this vision of an
Transport trailer.
RV.
It looks like an RV.
Yeah.
A personal
Right.
It doesn't look.
who has the pictures to go back a little
Where would you like me to just put it at?
The one that has the front of the truck, right there. That's the truck, and the black trailer that has the boards on top, that's my dunnage, it's called. So when you have different things you put underneath so it doesn't damage your trailer. So that's the trailer. It's just a flatbed. The RV is an RV, and I'm selling it. So it'll be gone shortly.
So you don't use the RV in the business?
No, not at all.
So the trailer is what's used to transport what? Vehicles, equipment, whatever you're asked to transport?
All the above, yeah.
And you're telling us...
It's a flatbed trailer?
It's a flatbed
Okay.
with a 10-foot goose or tilt deck.
Sure, tilt
So you
deck.
can drive equipment up or whatever.
Got it.
Yeah.
What would...
Yeah, yeah.
What would you say to the reports we have of semis being parked on your
That was
property?
when I let a friend put them there to sell. I didn't know it was against code. And he told me, and I got them off. Like within 2 days, they were gone.
Okay. And so you've also indicated on your plan the 2 access points, one on the north end of this strip and one on the south. And we've been instructed by staff that we cannot consider that south access as a business, as part of your conditional use, or at least that's the message I'm getting, because it's not a legal access.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's there, but like,
right,
my big trailer, it's hard to get through there.
Right,
anyway, so.
and that's my question. You have proposed that, and I assume because it's easier to get in and out using that. If you can't use it, do you still have the ability to get in and out of that parcel?
I can't turn around on that parcel, so
Right.
I would have to pull in and then pull out over the sidewalk area that's not fenced.
Yeah, we absolutely cannot approve and have that be an access point.
So, yeah, I mean, it could be backed in, but that's just not how I've been doing it. But it is possible to back it in.
From your driveway?
Yeah. It's just, it's easier to pull through, like, access-wise. But
yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
We're under some limitations.
Yeah.
You keep asking us to consider this your side yard. We can't. We don't have that ability to make our own interpretations or rewrite the law. We have to go by the law and what it says. And, you've given us this plan, and I just don't know that I see how it can work with the codes that we have. And I will say, I can appreciate, and I agree with your neighbor who very passionately is defending you. I do think you have operated in good faith, and I drove by the property, and the fence definitely is a screen. The problem is we can't consider that as part of a mitigation, and you might be a really nice guy, and you might be really trying, and I believe that you are, but that doesn't impact our decision on whether or not this is practical or appropriate for this area. I think, and I hope you understand that as we're trying to figure this out.
Yeah, and I get it. It's just, what about the whole grandfather thing, where it's...
We have to look at the code as it stands.
As current code, okay.
And listen, I'm a lawyer. One thing clients tell me all the time, well, I called the code enforcement, or, I work in healthcare. I had someone say to me the other day, I called the FDA. And it's like, you can't rely on those, any individual in government to tell you something's okay when it's possibly not. So it's unfortunate, and I totally get it, and I know what Draper was like in 2000. Things have tightened up a bit since then, but that doesn't mean we have latitude. And I see Nick, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say there is a process that an applicant or anyone who has an issue like that on their property that is they believe to be historically conforming at one time, there is a process that they can apply for to determine if that is can be carried over.
Separate from this, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on that note, I also just wanted to add that if there was an agreement, if there was some sort of documentation of something that had been agreed to with Draper City that could be presented to us either from the staff in the historical record or that you provided, that's something that we could take into consideration. But the he said, she said type of deal as to what happened in the past, that we don't have the ability to take that into consideration under the current code and what our authority
I worked for
is.
those documents, but I went through a divorce and those disappeared. All my documents disappeared, so I don't have anything. And, phones, I used to have text, whatever, the communication, but when you update, but back in 2000, when you updated, it was gone.
And I understand that, but I just wanted to...
I just don't have that ability,
right. and
I get that.
I just want to note that we sympathize and understand what may have been said, but just trying to make it clear what our authority
is. There is that process, that's great news. I'd love to start that process. I haven't heard of that, and so we'll go with that. I mean, I am trying to just comply. That's the reason I'm here, and I've always been that way. That's why there's fence. That's why I put all the money into it. I was complying with the word, but it's just I've been trying to comply. I'm not a resistant person. I'm pretty easygoing, and I try to make
we appreciate
people
that.
happy.
And the issue at hand is truly just running this transport business out of your home, which appears to be very low impact. Now that we're clear on it's a 14-foot dump trailer, pretty much.
Well, yeah,
that's not even
there's
a high.
a 40-foot flatbed and a 14-foot dump trailer.
Okay, yeah. So they're flat trailers, right?
Yes,
they're not
yes.
even the height of an RV. So in theory, a hedgerow.
That's why that one screening picture, you couldn't see my trailers.
The
They're there.
famous hedgerow could actually work, because in about 20 years you might get a 4-foot high hedgerow and you'd be in compliance. But so we've been distracted by the fence, and the real issue at hand is a home occupation permit for you. And it's a shame you just can't put that stuff back behind the rest of that nice pie-shaped lot you have right there, right? Yeah, because that's the easiest solution. And then you just, put up signs that say, no trespassing, no Juan Diego parking, and you keep that gravel nice for everybody and hold your head high, and there you go. But that's, it is the code, and I get it. We all bleed for you on what was said back in 2002 in the Wild West. And it happens all the time. We hear it all. I hear it all the time in my business. You can do that. We're never going to come after you for that. It's a week or a decade. Yeah. So anyway, that's
or two.
So we appreciate you coming in here doing this. So let's go ahead. I'll let you sit down unless there's any other questions for the applicant.
Well, I might
just so we can just deliberate and move it on.
One, but I just want to preface my question of staff under the context of public comment we received that there may be another business functioning in the home, and to clarify that whether or not a person by code is allowed to operate more than one business on a residential property. That's really where I'm focused. So I'm not trying to gotcha anybody, but I am very curious on that. I think that could impact our decision as well, and it may end up that I have a question for the applicant based on the answer to that question.
From what I understand, you can have more than one business at the home so long as you meet the requirements of the home occupation.
So, like cumulatively for the businesses, they would have to, like in the aggregate, meet like the square footage requirement and things
so
like that.
A quarter of the square footage of the dwelling unit cannot exceed.
And so then a follow-up question, too. If somebody does have an Airbnb in their home, does that require a business license? And second, I think I know the answer is no, but is that considered a home occupation? I can't imagine it is. So those are my two.
So Airbnbs we do not regulate. So there's no permits required for that. There's no licensing, and it's not considered a home occupation.
Okay. So, if it were operating as a LLC with that as the address, I mean, it does seem like we're getting into, and this may be a moot issue because I'm not sure we could mitigate to the extent that I would vote yes anyway, but it just seems like if that's going on, and then we've got a home occupation that tells me also maybe that the applicant doesn't really reside in the home. I don't know. I think that's like maybe a legal question that we don't need to talk, attack tonight.
I can say that if you are operating something like an Airbnb, I believe you'd need to rent out the entire house. So you wouldn't be able to live in the home and operate your business while also renting out a portion of the house for an Airbnb. That would not be permitted.
Okay, so
if there was a second unit, so a second unit would be an ADU, they'd have a separate permit.
Right, and that would be permissible then, or no, to have a home-based business in that? Because then you'd have
no restriction on a home-based business for the primary occupant. No.
Okay.
Can I address some of your concerns that you have, or two questions, or no?
I mean, the more I think about it, the more I think it's probably moot.
Well, the thing about it is I can answer correctly for what, he can do what Draper allows, but I can tell you what's happening.
Well, that's my point. I'm not sure that it even matters what's happening, so I don't want to put you in a position where you're maybe admitting to something, or I don't know.
It's not. I don't have any, it's a three-level home. I rent out the main level and the upper level. I stay in the basement. That's where my offices and my residence, and then I have an Airbnb manager that manages it. So I don't do anything. I don't even know anything about the schedule. It's all her. So she runs the business.
So are you saying
That
you have two
business.
separate rentals, one on the main floor and one in the upstairs?
No.
You rent out the main portion
floor
of the
and
house
upstairs.
and you live in the basement?
Yeah.
You might want to stop talking now.
Well, no, that's
I think, anyway.
Well, but there's no, from what they're saying, there's no code, like they don't enforce anything, so I'm not
Well,
breaking anything.
Not
right?
if you
Am I
rent
not?
out the whole house as an ADU, I believe, but I don't want to give you legal advice. I think we're entering into some territory where maybe.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's
what
why I
it
didn't want
is.
you to say.
But I don't run that. I don't operate that business.
May I request that we speak regarding the home occupation request?
Yes,
the home
yes,
occupation
thank you.
conditional use permit?
And again, I was only going toward that for if there was an issue with two business licenses on the same property, but, okay.
So
I am done.
Airbnb doesn't matter. At this point, we're looking at home occupation permit, and thank you for letting us belabor that point, so thank you. So we're going to go ahead. I'll let you get seated, and then we'll just talk amongst ourselves. Thank you. We appreciate that. And thank you for all the input, too. Again, we get it. We live here. We drive by here all the time. I've lived here since, Cranberry Hill, when that went in, we all saw that go in. So it's just it's a neighborhood. And whoever let this lot be cut out this way, probably long gone. But dang that guy. But here we are. So
Okay.
what do you guys want to do?
Can I make a comment that I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of times there's a misconception about the term grandfathering. When something is either legal nonconforming, it had to have met the code at the time. And according to staff, the codes for the front setback, being in alignment with the fencing, all that has not changed since 2002. So the grandfathering to me doesn't work. I mean, you're either legal or you're not. And they said there's a process you can go through to determine that, but based on what they've said.
Susan, I would actually go through that. I've been looking through here, and it looks like that 2015 and 2019 are the 2 years that reference back to the code as we have it now. So you may want to look into that, because 2015 is a far cry from 02. So
I think what Jen said was that she didn't say it hadn't changed. She said it was non-compliant at the time it was
right.
built.
So it's just
That
but
doesn't mean it
all I can see is I can only go back to 2015 to say that that's when it was. That's what we're working off of now.
And I think that matters in the context of screening, though, right?
Well,
Because
screening setback, right.
if
Yeah.
it were
Yeah.
grandfathered legally in the
Legally.
legal
Yeah, so we'll let
sense, then
him
maybe we
figure that
could be-
out. But what are your thoughts on running this transport business out of this residential home? What are your thoughts on that? Let's say we can get past let's pretend we can get past those conditions. What are your thoughts on running the business as it's been described to us with the mitigating factors that have been presented?
There is one section of the home occupation that refers to the character of the home and that it would not change the character of the residential use. And to me, this is beyond that. It's going beyond a residential character. It's a transport business / commercial business, in my opinion. It changes the character of this residential property.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I can stop talking at any time, but I think there are a lot of issues, like you said, Andrew, we've been kind of focused on a few things. There are a lot that we just haven't even addressed in the impact analysis, and
So the way
the
way
blind spots are a big issue. That school is busy, and even if there weren't a school there, it'd still be an issue, but there is, and that just
what do you mean
ramps
by
up
blind
the-
spots, like for visibility?
with the fence or any screening that would be that close to the street. So even if we said, oh, put a hedgerow in, the reason those tall fences aren't allowed, at least from my understanding, or one of the reasons, is a safety concern that you can't see around them. And if we've got these really long vehicles being backed in and out, and I just, the visibility there is a big problem. And so I don't see how we can mitigate that. I also, when the applicant said, sure, I could not use that entrance on Kimball, or is that Kimball's down on the south end? But I just drive over the sidewalk. And he backpedaled on that, but I think that was probably the real answer there. That was the first thing that came out. And, obviously some things that were said to us tonight in public comment and in the emails are very problematic. I don't know, that I believe everything, but at least some of it is believable. And I do think we have this conversation every time there's something that's kind of on the line where it's like, at some point you just have to rent a commercial space. And I don't know, I'm with Susan that I feel like it does change the character to the point that, I just think based on the setup of this lot and the inability to access the back of the property, that's probably where we're at. If he could access the back of the property, we'd be having a different conversation.
That would be different for you if
Yeah.
you could actually put that long trailer in the back along that side.
Yeah.
It would change it for me as well. I feel for this applicant because I do feel like he's tried. I feel like he's given, spent his own money to try and make this very unique lot. I've never seen a lot like this in my time being on the Planning Commission. So
It's like a 500 foot
Being
frontage, 500 feet of frontage.
Yeah, it's very unusual. And while I have all the empathy in the world for him, and I really want to try and find some way that will make this work, I can't think of a solution that will work given what our current restrictions are, what we're able to do as a planning commission.
And without breaking our own code.
Breaking our own code, correct. So, yeah, this is
I know it's a
tough one.
bummer. I saw this come up on the agenda last week, and I thought, sweet, these are always opportunities to make, because I've driven by there so many times going, man, that is, that's some prime trailer storage space. Whose is that? Who does that belong to? How can that even be there, and now to see that it belongs to you and what you had to do. I mean, you had this property before there was even a sidewalk, right? So this was just a nice flat. You just pull in off the street, no going over the sidewalk. It's like the Wild West. So, but I do look at these as opportunities to say, hey, let's make Draper better. Let's take these pieces of weird land that, and let everybody kind of win from it. And, that darn code. So you're telling us that the fence would have to be behind the front of the house? And the parcel's 33 feet wide. Is it a 25-foot setback from the curb?
And
What is the fencing or screening?
Well, first to be clear, there's nothing in this that would require him to have a fence. So, but if he chooses to continue with a fence, then he would need to follow
Got
the
it. So he
standards in
could
the
park
code.
that trailer in the front there, and that would not be a condition to screen it.
That is a mitigation that he needs to provide, but it does. It's up to the applicant to determine how that is screened.
Yeah, it would have to be
Not
screened because
not really.
a trailer sitting there would be an
He
attractive,
chose fence. He chooses fence.
attractive nuisance to any school kid.
It's better fenced off. It's better, but again, that's against code. So it
I'll
really is a
add to
conundrum.
that if I can, because
Yes.
we did look up the code.
Sure.
The trailer does need to be parked behind the front wall plane, so we wouldn't allow a trailer to be parked in the front yard, whether it was commercial business or residence.
personally. Is that the same for RVs?
Yeah.
Or, and in this case, it's a trailer?
Jennifer's got it up on the screen
Okay.
here.
That was my understanding as well.
So, hold on just a second. We can't be shouting out. We'll turn into Cedar Hills here real quick. So yes, I said that, but from experience. So what we'll do right now is we'll go ahead and just put a motion up, put that to a vote, and then you've heard kind of the proposed mitigations on what could in the future allow this to happen if it's behind your property. And it looks like just everything out there just needs to stay just vacated, and it is what it is. So
I just want to stress could.
It's
Because
the
I don't
code.
want
No, it's
anyone
the
coming
code.
back in 5 years and saying, the planning commission told me if I did this, I'd get approval.
Oh, that doesn't
That's
work.
not
You
what
don't
we're
listen
saying.
to anything anybody says. It's all what the code is and what the law is. And so, you can go check into some things and see if there's any kind of, recourse on if it was before 2002 or what that was. But that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here tonight. So, all right, commissioners, based on this, thank you for deliberating this out. This is a tough one. And we've said no to things in there too. Remember the metal sculptor guy in Cranberry Hill that was building like 20-foot tall metal steel sculptures and welding them in his garage? We said no to
And
that.
putting them on display.
You're
in the front-
welcome.
And putting them on display.
Yeah,
in the
you're
front yard.
you're welcome, neighbors. So remember us. All right, let's go ahead and put this up to a vote. We'll need a motion and then go from there.
I'm happy to make the motion.
Go ahead, Kendra.
I move that we deny the home occupation conditional use permit as requested by George Fullis, representing Fullis Transport LLC, application 2024-0349-USE, based on the following findings for denial listed in the staff report dated July 17th, 2025, and the findings for denial. Generally, it is that the proposal does not comply with all the standards for approval found in DCMC Section 9-5-080E, and potential negative impacts are not able to be sufficiently mitigated through the imposition of reasonable conditions. And I'm not going to list them because I think we've had a lengthy discussion on what those issues and concerns are here tonight.
All right, thanks, Kendra. Who will second that motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, this is a vote to deny, so let's go ahead. How do you vote, Kendra?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Thanks for coming in, and good luck with any other options. Let's move now on to, now I'm unclear, we have two from Jiffy Lube. We have one that's the conditional use permit request, and then we have the site plan request.
Yes, we're
moving forward. Okay, so I'm going to just start with 1B with the conditional use permit first, yes?
Yes.
Okay, as proposed in the agenda, so now we're back on track. So this is on the request of Robert Portier. I'm saying that correct? If not, you can correct me when you come back up. Of McNeil Engineering representing Don Ballard and Lube Management Corp., a request for approval of a conditional use permit for a limited vehicle repair business on approximately 0.32 acres located at 681 East, 12300 South. It's known as application 2025-0138-USE. Todd Taylor's our contact. Go ahead, Todd.
Thank you. This is a vicinity map showing the location of the property just north of 123rd South and west of 700 East. This is an aerial of the property. You can see the existing iceberg at the front of the site and the home on the rear of the site. The zoning is neighborhood commercial. This is incorrect. That should... Oh, sorry, this is the land use map. Yeah, sorry about that. The land use map is neighborhood commercial, and the zoning is community commercial. And you can see here that the site is surrounded by community commercial on each of its sides. The proposal is a vehicle repair limited use, which is an establishment providing motor vehicle repair or maintenance services within completely enclosed buildings. And there's no storage overnight or otherwise of vehicles, equipment, supplies, parts, or inventory outside of the building. And within the community commercial zone, a conditional use permit is required for this use. The applicant has submitted a draft site plan or an site plan application along with the conditional use permit application. The site plan is still under review, but this is a draft of the site plan showing the proposed Jiffy Lube building towards the front of the property along 123rd South, roughly centered with parking along the west, north, and one on the northeast. These are some of the draft elevations that the applicant has submitted. This is the front along 123rd South, and then this is looking from the east and the backside, and then the very, very back. Staff is recommending some conditions of approval, that all requirements of Draper City be satisfied throughout the development process, that a business license shall be obtained and maintained for as long as the business remains open, that there shall be no noise, glare, dust, pollutants, odor, or other impacts discernible outside of the building, that there shall be no storage.
Should
I
that
should
say no storage?
Yeah, sorry about that. Overnight or otherwise of vehicles, equipment, supplies, parts, or inventory outside of the building. That prior to site plan approval by the Planning Commission, which will come back before you at another time, the applicant shall submit a revised landscaping and irrigation plan which complies with the code, and a revised lighting plan which complies with code. Before I finish, I want to go back to the aerial. So this isn't 100% accurate representation, but it's probably the best representation of what we have here. So during a review of the site plan, it became known that there is a property boundary issue between this property and the flower shop to the east. And so the site plan is proposed to be continued until that property boundary issue is resolved. And as part of this conditional use permit approval, if the Planning Commission determines to approve the conditional use permit tonight, that conditional use permit will be only on that portion of the property as is currently identified by the county records today. So that, again, this isn't 100% accurate representation of the property boundary, but it would only be the portion sort of shown here and not include that sliver. In discussions with the applicant, and they can confirm this when they come up, they have indicated that they like to proceed with that and come back with another conditional use permit application when the site plan comes before the Planning Commission following the property boundary resolution. And that would then cover the entire site. The other option is for the Planning Commission to continue the item before you open the public hearing. That's not an option?
No, that's not an option. This is a conditional use permit, and like with the last conditional use permit, you shall approve with conditions, or deny.
Unless the applicant wants to pull it.
Could the applicant withdraw at this point? Yeah.
The applicant may withdraw if the applicant so chooses, but just as kind of a fun little legal background about why this is the way that it is, conditional use permits by law are in privity of a state, is what we call it at law school. What that means is it tax to the property that you get the conditional use permit for. So right now, the applicant can only get a conditional use permit for the property as the applicant currently owns it, as it's recorded on the Salt Lake County Recorder's Office records. So that sliver piece that is between where you see approximately the property boundary line and the fence line, if the applicant acquires it, that part of the property would not have the conditional use permit, and the use for the property needs a conditional use permit, so they would have to come in and get another conditional use permit for that little sliver if they so acquire it later. It's weird, I know.
Yeah.
Well, here's just my point on this one and the one before this. Do we want to tell the applicant this kind of stuff, or are you telling the applicant this for this meeting? Because these are two instances where it feels like a gotcha. I have to be honest, because they're getting this far and then they're being told, hey, well, there's this, there's that. If you want to do, and you want to apply for this twice, we discovered this property line discrepancy, but now you're going to have to come in for a second time if we don't continue it. But it's up to the applicant. It's this little coy little dance of like, well, you can continue if you want.
So
I think that stuff just needs to all be discussed prior.
So the applicant's aware of the D-gap issue with the property line.
Was he aware that he would have to come in and if we give him this conditional use right now, was he aware before now that he has to come in a second time, like Spencer just said? Was he aware of that? Or was anyone aware of that? I wasn't.
We had that discussion with him as the meeting was starting.
Perfect. Good. Then we'll let the applicant go. He's not a zombie. We'll let him go through the whole thing, and it's his to win.
Yes, so we did have that discussion with the applicant on whether they wanted it to continue or they want to proceed with the CUP tonight and come back for another CUP once the property boundary issue is
Perfect.
resolved, they would like to continue with the CUP for
All right,
tonight.
as we were then.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I have a difficult time granting or processing a conditional use application on a draft site plan that doesn't meet what we're actually going to be talking about tonight.
We're not approving the site plan.
Right, no, we're not, but it is part of the application as a draft site plan.
Yeah.
So we do have to look at that because that is part of the packet and information we were given.
Because it's a little bit caught before the horse,
Yeah,
reverse order.
well,
I
in my
get it.
opinion, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
it's a tight site plan already, meeting setbacks, drive aisles, parking, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and again, it's the applicant's choice,
Yeah,
as long
okay.
as they're aware of it. So we'll let you do what you'd like to do and go from there. So, how's that? Noted, though. That's a good point.
Okay, thanks.
Very good point. All right.
That concluded my presentation.
Perfect. Did we just conclude it for you? I'm sorry.
Oh, oops.
Sorry. Okay. Well done. Any questions for staff?
Do we know how big that sliver is? Like how many feet from what the current concrete is?
Oh, it looks like the applicant.
Well, yeah,
we can,
we'll get it.
All right,
can maybe
got it.
answer that.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? You want to come on up? And you can both come up, too, if you like. You can both come up, state your name. If there's two of you, yeah, you're welcome to come up. Just both of you state your names.
My name's Kirk Humphrey. This is Justin Soha.
Hi.
We're with Lube Management. We're the Jiffy Lube people. When we submitted our site plan, when we had an ALTA survey, it said that the property line was down the fence line.
Okay.
When 7-Eleven had their ALTA survey done, it said the property line was down the fence line. So I don't think we have a property line dispute here. We have a property line confusion. And we're in the process of resolving that. Our title company has looked at it, is willing to insure the title to the fence line. So they're certainly not going to do it if they think there's a problem. It's something I think we can resolve in the next, hopefully the next few days. We're working with Mr. Duchesne to make the city comfortable with that. But what we'd like to do today, if possible, is respectfully request that you approve a Jiffy Lube on that site, subject to getting the site plan approved, which obviously this has to be resolved to get that site plan approved. So we don't want to continue doing a bunch of work on this project. We've been working on it for over a year. If we get all this stuff done, get everything resolved, and you say, oh, we don't like Jiffy Lube, or we don't want one there. So what we're looking for is that approval today. We will come back with the property line issue resolved with our site plan when we apply for that approval. And if we have to get a special conditional use permit for that 13-foot wide piece of property, we'll do that as well.
Got it. Perfect. Any questions
No.
from our side? Okay.
I have
great.
one question.
Yes,
the
go ahead.
address on the application is 681 East. There is no 681 East. This is 673 East of this property. Is that going to be the new address, I'm guessing?
It was the address that came with the application.
Because the address on the building at this site is 673. The property on the assessor's and the recorder's office is 673. I just want to know, I'm assuming that's just going to be the new address, which I'm good with as long as we are okay with that.
Susan drives by these, so.
Sorry,
gotta- No, it's
You're
good.
tired. She has time.
We drive, I drive by too, but I wasn't looking at
many,
No.
I've spent way too many times driving by and many hours of doing these kind of staff reports in my previous life, so.
Yeah, it is good. It is good to know. So we'll go ahead and, we'll put this up for a public hearing, and then we'll deliberate and go forward. But we understand now where.
Thank you very much.
I do have a question.
Go ahead. Sorry, there's one question here. I'm sorry.
So I assume you'll keep the iceberg and put it in the Jiffy Lube, right?
We'll
serve ice cream out of it.
I mean, it seems like a good plan. You can get a shake while you get your oil changed. I don't know, then we don't have to lose Iceberg, right?
It might be a good idea for all Jiffy Lubes. Soft serve at all Jiffy
The problem
Lubes.
is Don's tired of cooking them.
There you go.
I just need the ice cream.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
So,
Okay. All right. So
Susan,
this is yep.
I've
go
got
ahead.
an answer to Susan's question. There's multiple buildings on the property, so there's multiple addresses for the property.
So
that-
this one will
that
be known as 681.
Is one of the addresses.
Okay. So 681 will be the
Governing
address for this.
going forward.
Okay, cool.
There you go. All right. This is a public hearing. We've been through this already tonight, so same drill. If you'd like to come up and address this agenda item, I'm going to open this up right now to let us hear your thoughts on this agenda item. So come on down. Don't be shy. And as before, if you'll just state your name. And if you don't, I'll remind you. Hi.
Hey, I'll be quick. My name is Nate Ballard. You might recognize the last name. Here to really represent my dad, who's the owner of the parcel, so appreciate the time. Yeah, it's to your point, Mary, bittersweet for him. Obviously, turned 75 this year. It's time for him to start to enjoy life, step away from the grill. So we've been working. I'm in the real estate industry and development industry, so I've been trying to find a exit strategy for him. This is the best one we've had so far, and we're hopeful that it does go forward. It's unfortunate we ran with the snag. I have my own opinion on how that should be handled. I think it's a simple fix. I think it doesn't. Anyway, we don't need to get into that tonight. I do think the use is something that, what we have here is a very limited sized parcel. I've told my dad that from the jump. He's trying to replace a house and also a business, and it's a postage stamp. Without trying to acquire more property, which isn't an option at this point, he's limited on what he can do. Jiffy Lube is a good use. Obviously, we already know what it looks like, how it functions. It's up the hill just a bit. And, it's a clean use. The things that they're trying to get approved through the conditional use seem great. He's limited on options on what this can be. Nobody, we went down the path to somebody want to take over a greasy spoon. You guys are open to that. We can talk about that after the meeting. It's going to be expensive, but you could do it. Anyway, I think it's a really good option for him. It's good for them. They know what they're doing. They've done it a long time. They've done it in the city. You guys could drive by their other location and see what it'll end up being. It is sad as hell. Don't get me wrong. We're all emotional about it. We all want to continue to go there, including me, but it's not reality. So we're hopeful that you guys will consider that, not from the emotional perspective, but maybe a little bit. What else was I going to ask you? Maybe to your point, Susan, on do we have the cart before the horse? Maybe a little bit, but to his point, he needs to know. It is a condition of the approval, so even if you guys approved it tonight, which I think you should, it's a condition. So if he doesn't get the site plan approved and we don't work things out, which I'm pretty sure we should be able to, it's a condition there anyway. So if we go forward, site plan comes in a couple of weeks, and you guys say, we hate it, never will work, denied, everything kind of unravels anyway. So anyway, I saved myself 20 seconds and you as well, so I appreciate the time.
Well done. Thanks. Anyone else? Okay, last call. We'll go ahead and close public hearing. Thank you. All right, commissioners, what are your thoughts?
I think losing this establishment and Guadalajara's in the same year could be really problematic, but we'll find a way through.
Hey, but there's Sausalito's replacing Guadalajara's.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're still getting a Mexican restaurant, but yeah, it is sad to see Iceberg gone.
I don't need any further discussion. Does anybody else?
Perfect. Yeah, let's put a motion together then.
Just a question. This does say that you're replacing an existing one, so is the other one that we know up the street, is that going to be going away? Okay.
And just for the microphone, the answer to that was yes.
The answer is yes on that.
Yeah, okay. Great. Go ahead.
I think it's straightforward.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion if that's okay.
Yeah, please do, Gary.
I move that we approve the conditional use permit as requested by Robert Poirier, McNeil Engineering, representing Don Ballard and Lube Management Corp. application 2025-0138-USC, based on the following findings for approval and subject to the conditions listed in the staff report dated July 17th, 2025. And the findings for approval is the proposal complies with the standards for approval found in DCMC section 9-5-080E, and potential negative impacts are mitigated through the imposition of reasonable conditions.
Thanks, Gary. Who will second that motion?
I'll second that.
I would recommend just a clarification added to the motion.
Go ahead.
Before you
That the
actually,
property dispute be settled, or?
yeah, that the CUP is for the property line shown on the county records, and any additional property would need to come in for their own CUP. So once that property line issue's resolved, they'll have to come back in for another CUP for that strip.
If the end result is that they're adding property to
Yes.
what they own currently,
Correct.
or
Correct.
whatever.
Okay.
So in essence, are they going to have two CUPs on the property then?
Yes. Well, for the two pieces.
Yeah,
Yes.
so could they come back in with an amended CUP to include, I mean, it just seems cleaner to me instead of having two CUPs.
Right.
That just seems.
Yeah, they could. I mean, it's the same process. We don't really have an amended CUP application, so it's the same process.
Yeah, just add that, Gary, if you want to do your motion.
Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and add that to my motion, that that we are the property that we are, or the let's see, the conditional use permit that we are proposing approval for tonight is based upon the current Salt Lake County property line records, and that any additional property that may be added to that plot will need to come in and get its separate CUP at a later date. Is that correct? Is that good?
Yeah.
If you change the word plot to lot, I'd be happy with that.
Lot instead of plot. Sorry, lot.
But oh, is it a parcel? We're
Parcel.
not
There we
subdivided.
go. Even better.
We're not subdivided, so call it a parcel. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Hold on one second, Gary. I'm going to pause your motion there. The applicant had a quick,
Yes.
I'll invite you up.
I'd respectfully like to make a request that if we find out that that line drawn on there is in the wrong place, and it actually is where the fence line is, as we believe, and as the Flowerama people believe, that we don't have to go through that process again.
Yeah, it's a good point, because if it's just if you said the county records, and do the county records show the red line right now?
We get our parcel data from the county.
And that's what the red line is showing right now.
Correct.
So what does it take to change the county records red line if it's wrong?
So,
That's what they're working on.
yeah, so they needed
Yeah.
to do a boundary line adjustment or agreement.
Okay.
Um,
And that can
it's-
all be done here.
Correct. It's staff level, so the zoning administrator approves it, so it doesn't have a hearing or go before you guys. So it's, they have a survey already done, so they've already got legal descriptions already put together, so it's a matter of kind of the paperwork to finish that process.
Okay, so we just want to make it as easy as possible on you, and that verbiage right there, or do you have any heartburn with that verbiage from Salt Lake County Records?
No, if we can get, it would be
Like,
great if we
if
could
they've
just
got
get
a
staff
solution for
approval
you.
when it's approved.
They've got a solution for you. If it ends up that there's just big misunderstanding, like you say, and it's a staff level deal, then yeah. But what we're saying right now is we can only grant what we know.
Right.
And if what we knew is different, in a week, we know something different, and that doesn't need to, but we're just covering that.
I appreciate that.
So you're not, yeah, so it's on the record that we told you.
Thank you.
Got it. All right, there you go. Gary's motion stands. Who will second that as
I will
proposed?
second that.
Thank you, Kendra. All right, let's go ahead and put that to a vote. So Gary, this is for approval of the CUP. Gary?
Yes.
Kendra?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And Mary?
Yes.
All right. Congratulations on that. Thanks for staying late with us tonight. We appreciate y'all. And I don't see anything else on the agenda, so the other one's been continued. Is there anything else we need to talk about tonight?
No.
All right. Well,
I move we adjourn.
adjourned.
Bang it.
Yeah, 3.
surprised me.